Welcome back, guys, for the next live stream episode. Um, we're going to cover about Epstein's World by Prof. Jiang. Little that I know about Epstein. I mean, the social media is like bombarded about him being a pedophile and working with the U.S. government on some dodgy stuff. I mean, I really, I really have like in-depth idea of who really is. Mm, but another thing that I know about him that he actually not really smart, he kind of degenerate, but he doesn't give up. He pushed through and climb the social status to get to the last post that he achieved. I mean that's is quite inspiring for someone that love to like read or know about entrepreneurship. I mean, that part is inspiring. I mean, beside that, I hope this lecture, Prof. Jen covers more in depth about him and hopefully understand like if this has things to do um, with the current geopolitical conflict. And yeah, let's begin.
Today, I want to look at three questions. Why did this war between the United States and Iran start? How will this war end? And what will happen after this war ends? And to answer these three questions, we need to discuss the nature and structure of our reality. And the first thing you need to understand, which is very hard, is that our world is a hallucination. It's a collective fantasy, all right? So to understand this idea, let's look at Plato's allegory of the cave, okay? Plato's allegory of the cave. And so in this cave, we're deep inside the earth and it's dark. There's some light coming in, but not much. And we're all chained in a line together, okay? And there's about 1 million of us. We're on the floor and we're chained to the ground. And we can't really move. We can't get up, we can't move around. Even our necks are shackled. So we can't turn around and see the world around us. Okay, so there's about 1 million of us all sitting down and staring at a wall together, okay? And this wall is blank. Behind us is great fire. And there are people around this fire, okay? We don't know who they are, but they are free to move around. And what they do is this, they take puppets, and then they reflect the puppets onto the wall, creating shadows. And we're mesmerized by these shadows because before we're staring at a blank wall, and now there are these moving shadows. And we think these shadows are real because we don't know any better. So we give them names. Okay, we give them names and we create a language in order to tell stories about these shadows. And this becomes really our collective reality, okay? So another way of saying this is that reality is a collective conscious which is really a hallucination. Okay? All right. So there are certain things about this reality that we need to keep in mind. Okay? So first of all, what's really important to understand is that what creates this reality is our conscious, our imagination, our perception. Not anyone else, us, okay? So in other words, the wealth in the society is our consciousness. The amount of thought we put into something. And so, let me give you an example. Let's just say that I were to ask you to make a vase to sell on the marketplace, okay? While you're making this vase, if you are listening to music, if you are chatting with a friend, if you're not fully conscious and focused and attentive about making this vase, it won't be very good. But if you are completely focused on creating the most beautiful vase you can, and you're not distracted by anything, then this vase will be beautiful and therefore more valuable in the marketplace. Okay? So in other words, it is our conscious attention that creates wealth in this world. And it is really money or capital that extracts and stores our consciousness and turns it into wealth. All right? So that's a really important concept that most people don't understand, but you need to understand this if we are to understand the nature of reality itself. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to understand. This reality is structured to extract our consciousness in order to create wealth for the elite, for these people. Okay, and historically, there have been different mechanisms that you can use in order to extract and store wealth. All right, so you have maybe religion, okay? And so think of pyramids, right? Because pyramids in Egypt are able to focus your attention and motivate you to do certain actions, okay? To engage in religious worship. But really any temples. So that's one form of capital. Another form of capital, of course, is the idea of stories. Homer, right? Homer is the father of Greek civilization because he wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey, which is able to focus people's attention and drive them to great things. Then you, of course, in today's world, you have the Bible. And the main mechanism to extract and store wealth in today's world, of course, is the US dollar. Now, but there's another force that's being created in order to replace the US dollar. And this is called artificial intelligence. All right, so what we'll discuss later on is that there's actually a war going on for the soul of humanity, for the human consciousness between the US dollar, the old world order, and artificial intelligence, the new world order, okay? But I want you to keep this in mind. All right, so that's the first thing I want you to understand. Second thing that I need you to understand is that these people, we don't know who they are, okay? But what we do know is that they don't force us to do anything. There's not enough of them, okay? The way they maintain power is through manipulation and trickery and deception. And we know this because in Plato's allegory of the cave, one day, for whatever reason, one guy decides, you know what? I feel as though this is not the real world. I feel as though there's something outside this cave. So he or she starts messing around with the chains and realizes, these aren't chains. These are just like ropes. I can just like get rid of them. And this chain around my neck, it's like a ribbon. I can snap it off. And he doesn't know why he does this, but he does this. He does do this. And when he does this, they don't even care. Like, whatever, man, do whatever you want. And so he releases himself. He's blind because he's been in the dark all his life, but somehow he recognizes that there's this light, okay, outside the cave. And he is compelled to this light. So he's walking, stumbling to this light. And again, they are like watching him. They're like, we don't care. Do whatever you want, man. They don't stop him. He goes out into the light, and now he's outside, and it's pure light, okay? He's left the cave, and at first he's in pain, and he struggles to reorientate himself to this new world, but then eventually he falls in love with this world. It's a beautiful world, and it's like for him, heaven. And he's like, oh my God, this is the real world. The cave is a fake world that we created ourselves. Let me go back there and tell everyone about the truth. And when he goes back, they, again, the elite, don't stop him. Like, whatever you want, man, do whatever you want, okay? So they, who are in power, you think they have an army, you think they have magic, and you think that they're evil, but really, all their power rests on our belief in their power, okay? They themselves don't have any power except to manipulate us. Okay, that's the second thing you need to understand. Now, the third thing you need to understand is that even though this is a fake world,
to me, man.
people don't know this. They think it's real. In fact, they believe it is so real that they are willing to die for it. So that when this man who's seen heaven, who's seen the truth, who's come back to tell everyone, these chains that you have aren't real. We can break free and escape into the real world. If he dares to tell them this, together they will kill him. Okay, do you understand? So in other words, the reality is a hallucination. It's created by us, but we fall in love with it. We're so attached to it psychologically and emotionally that if anyone tells us it's fake, we kill them for it. Okay? So it's these three things I want you to keep in mind as we explore our world. Because our world is actually just Plato's cave. All right, so let me show you how. All right. So, you need a force in order to create this reality, to chain us together, okay? And this force, of course, is called the American Empire, or the Empire. Basically, just the military. But they themselves don't really want to control this world because they're an army, okay? So what they do is they allow the creation of a financial order, a global financial order, which then constructs the game that we play, okay? And these people then construct the reality that we live in, okay? So this is the global financial order. And what is this global financial order? Well, at the very top is something called the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, okay? The central bank of central banks. Below them is the World Bank, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, which controls the rules of the global financial order. And then below them are something called the central banks, okay? So the Federal Reserve in the United States, the the People's Bank of China in China, okay? The Bank of England in England, okay? So together they create the global financial order. And what is the global financial order? It's just to use the US dollar as a main mechanism of wealth extraction and wealth storage, okay? Really simple. The US dollar. Another way of understanding these people is to think of them as the game masters, okay? The ones above us who's constructed the game and controlling the rules of the game as we play it, okay? The game masters. Okay, so once the game has been created with the rules and incentives, now we can play the game. And this game is called the global economy. All right? So when China trades with the United States, when you go off to Europe on vacation, you're all participating in a game created by the financial order, okay? And the purpose of this this global economy is to have everyone play as much as possible so that wealth can be transferred from the world to the United States, the powers that be, okay? And they do this through two mechanisms. The first is the US dollar. So every time you use the US dollar, you're actually paying a tax to America because America has the power to print as much US dollars as it wants, okay? And the second way that it does this is through something called price hierarchy, okay? A price hierarchy. So the global economy is divided into tiers, okay? So resources are considered the cheapest, even though in reality it should be the most expensive, right? Because resources are limited, they're finite. Above resources, of course, is manufacturing. And above manufacturing is knowledge economy. And then the highest is finance, okay? Basically the game masters. All right, so and as we can see, once with this price hierarchy in place, what we can do now is divide the world according to the specialties, okay? So resource, of course, would be Russia. Russia, the Middle East, the GCC, okay? Saudi Arabia, these places, okay? So these places provide resources. Manufacturing then would be China, right? Knowledge would be Europe and the Five Eyes, okay? Basically the Anglosphere, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Britain, and then finance, of course, the United States. Okay? Sorry. The United States. All right, so as you can see, this is a system that benefits the United States and its allies to the detriment of China and Russia. Okay? But this is how the game is structured. Of course, if the United States doesn't like you, what it can do is not allow you to play this game. And these countries, of course, would be North Korea and Iran, among other countries, okay? So China and Russia isn't happy about the system, but at least they get to play. Iran and North Korea are not even allowed to play the game of the global economy. All right? Now, of course, you can't have people believing that, okay, this entire global economy is structured so that the West can steal resources from everyone else, okay? So what you do is you create another layer called the rules-based international order. Okay, multilateral organizations, which includes the UN and the WTO, okay, World Trade Organization. Okay, this is called the rules-based international order. But it's really controlled by the empire, okay? So all these are just basically shadows on the wall that the empire is creating, projecting, okay? To fool us into behaving the way the empire wants. All right, so now that you have the system in place, what you need to do is indoctrinate people into believing that the system is fair, just, and good, okay? And then you do that through three mechanisms. These three mechanisms, of course, are education, media, and culture, right? What is education? Well, schools, guys, and universities, academia. You think that you go to university to learn knowledge. No, you don't. You go to university to be brainwashed into believing that this system is not just fair, but actually what really makes this system work is the rules-based national order, okay? You don't even think about empire. So that's education. Then, of course, you have media, which is CNN, BBC, New York Times. Each time you read an article, you think you're receiving news. You're not receiving news. You're being brainwashed into believing that this order is fair, just, and appropriate, okay? A phrase that you'll keep on hearing over and over is rules-based international order. Okay, but it's not a rules-based international order. It's Plato's cave. It's a deception. And the last, of course, is culture, which is Hollywood. And, you know, television shows, sitcoms, okay, things that you absorb every day. There's high culture and there's low culture. All right, so these are three mechanisms in which this order is basically indoctrinated into everyone, so that you don't even know this is a deception, okay? You believe that this is reality itself. And this is all to create values and norms. Okay, just the way you see the world, which allows for the creation of a legal structure. So that if you break the rules, it's not that the elite will come after you. They don't have to come after you because everyone else will come after you. Okay? If you're that guy who discovers that this is all deception, they'll kill you. Okay? Not the elite, but the people around you will kill you because you're breaking their fantasy. Okay? You're destroying their fantasy. All right? So this is a very effective system. The problem, though, is that you need to spread the system, okay? So there's three problems, okay? First of all, you have to protect this system, the status quo. Then you have to spread this system as well, okay? And then you also need to justify this system. And you do that through three transnational systems, three transnational organizations. And these are, okay? First, of course, is intelligence. What is intelligence? Spies, okay? Their job is to infiltrate other nations' elites and co-opt them into this system. That's what their job is, okay? That's what intelligence does. Then you have crime. Crime just engages in the most profitable enterprises, which includes, of course, drugs, human trafficking, and something called money laundering, okay? And this is a way to incentivize the global elite to work together. Okay, so that's the first two. And then there's one more mechanism called science. Now you think that science is about pursuing the truth. No, it's not. Okay? Science is fundamentally about finding evidence to justify and protect the status quo. Okay? That's why science is fundamentally materialistic. Okay? All right? And what, so we have to remember, like, this system is trying to create values, right? And these three major values is something called the open society. Okay? What is open society? It's just basically globalization, multiculturalism, DEI, right? Diversity is good. Why is it good? Because it's good. We don't know. It's good. Okay? Do you understand? They never provide a reason, but it's always, well, you don't believe it, it means you're a racist, which is bad. Okay? So, open society. Second is the idea of privatization. Okay, or what we call neoliberalism or free market, meaning that governments suck at what they do. Therefore, you should allow private entrepreneurs to control everything. Okay, and this idea of neoliberalism. Again, there's not much evidence to support this, but if you don't believe this, it means you're a communist. Okay, which is bad, by the way. And the last thing, of course, is consumerism. Okay? So consumerism is just like, how do you prove your value in life? How do you pursue purpose and meaning in life? Buy things, man! Okay? And then put it on Instagram so that people can like it, you know? That's the value of life, man. Make as much money as possible, and then buy a yacht, get a super hot girlfriend, and then broadcast it on Instagram. And then you're a hero, okay? Of course, what people don't discuss is that this system is making people lonely, miserable, depressed, suicidal. But, well, it's because they're not taking enough drugs, right? If you're depressed, you should take antidepressants, and that will solve the issue, right? Okay, so because intelligence, crime, and science are above the nation state, okay, you need other mechanisms to actually operate these three things. And so what allows for the system to work is a collection of elites, okay? And you can break them down into three groups. First, you have transnational capital. So think of, finance, transnational capital. Then you have secret societies. And then you have families, okay? So elite families. All right. And these three organizations themselves are bounded by something called the occult. And we'll discuss this later on, okay? The occult. The occult is just basically hidden, secret knowledge, not available to people, that comes from three places. Other places as well, but we'll look at three places, okay? Hermetic philosophy, the Bible, and the Kabbalah, okay? We'll discuss this later on. Don't worry too much about the occult right now. I'll show you what the occult is later on. But this is how the system works. All right, so there's certain questions about this. The first question is, okay, well, if this is true, why is this system separate from this system, right? Why not just say that the occult is the basis of everything, and then you have the elite, and then you have science, intelligence, crime, and then you have the empire, okay? And the reason why is this is really important for you guys to understand. This is the parasite, okay? This is the parasite. It doesn't actually create anything. All it does is suck up value, extract value, okay? And this is the host. So in fact, these are two separate systems, right? This is the host, and this is the parasite. Then your next question would be, okay, let's just assume this is true. What evidence is there that this actually works? Because there should be people that operate this system, right? Well, I will give you some names, okay? All right, so if it is true that this system is the way it is, there should be individuals in place that operate the system, right? Well, I'll give you some names. I'll give you two names. Jeffrey Epstein and Jared Kushner. Okay, and I'll explain who they are as we go along. And these families, how about the Rothschilds? Secret Society, Chabad Lubavitch. All right. And you're like, this is all conspiracy. This can't be true. Well, it's all true. And I will give you the evidence that this is all true later on. By the way, some of you will be like, they're all Jews, man. So why do they say the Jews rule the world? Well, because the evidence that we have implicates these people who are Jewish. But there are other people who are more powerful, who are able to maintain themselves in the shadows, okay? So it's not really fair to say that it's a Jewish conspiracy. Okay, I think this explanation, this system is much more complicated than just saying it's all Jews, all right? All right, so now what I want to discuss is the problems of this system, all right? And once you understand the problems of this system, then we can understand why this war in Iran is happening, where it's going, and what this means for the world, okay? So there's certain problems with this system I want you to notice. The first major problem is all this is based on empire, the perception of empire. And what this means is that everyone has to believe that the American empire is invincible. It cannot be defeated for the system to work, right? Once people start to believe that there are alternatives, that the empire is weak, then the system cannot work. And so therefore, the only solution to this problem is America has to go fight wars for no reason. You understand? It's like being the school bully, right? People pay you money because they think that you're a bully and you are not reasonable. And so to prove that, every now and then you have to go beat up another kid for no reason, okay? You're just smack the kid and everyone's afraid of you. That's America. And this helps us explain all these wars in the Middle East these past 20 years, right? Why did America invade Afghanistan? Why did America invade Iraq? Why did they blow up Syria? Why did they blow up Libya? Why are they attacking Iran? To prove to the world that I'm still the biggest, baddest bully on the block, so you better obey me or I'll come beat you up, okay? All right, so that's the first problem. Second problem is that the system, as you can see, is really, really unfair to a lot of countries. Iran, North Korea, Russia specifically, okay? So this helps us understand why Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, because they're trying to renegotiate the system, right? Because right now, the system is discriminating against them. It's extracting their resources for very little money. So they want to renegotiate the system. And the way you renegotiate the system is by showing the empire is not so tough, right? But this also shows us why America refuses to surrender Ukraine. This war was lost about 2 years ago, okay? Ukraine has absolutely no chance. Why is this war continuing? Because if the perception that empire is weak, that empire can be defeated, if that perception, if people are aware of this entire edifice collapses, okay? Right? People wake up and see it's all shadows on the wall. So America has no choice but to keep on fighting. Okay? And this helps us also explain why America invaded Iran, to show Russia, I'm still the biggest, baddest bully. And now we understand what Iran is doing. Iran is now attacking this entire edifice. If you think about it, what Iran recognizes is this: I cannot attack empire directly. Okay, it's too powerful. They have nuclear weapons. I'm not going to attack the education, media, cultural system of America because it's too embedded. I can't attack the UN and WTO because it's all being controlled by America. So the only thing I can attack is what? The global economy, right? That's why they've closed off the Strait of Hormuz. Because once they put pressure on the global economy, and that's all interconnected, it destroys the entire edifice. You understand? It is a house of cards. You find the weak point, and you hit it so it all collapses. Okay? And that's why Iran is doing what it's doing. And what this also tells us is this. There can be no ceasefire. There can be no truce. There can be no peace because both the American empire and Iran are fighting for the nature and structure of reality itself. All right? And the third thing I want you guys to be aware of is this. Remember in Plato's allegory of the cave, they really don't have to do anything because the prisoners themselves want to protect the system. Well, this is true as well, where if you are in education, media, and culture, and you are at the very top, you are not in power, but you benefit from the system. And therefore, you insist on protecting the system at all costs. And these people, of course, are called the boomers. Okay? Okay, not all of them, okay? But the elite of the boomers, even though they themselves don't have that much power, there's a lot of them, okay? And they will fight, they will make their politicians and the military fight to the death to maintain the illusion of empire, which benefits them. All right? Again, Plato's allegory of the cave. Okay, all right. So, now we can answer all three questions. Why did this war start? Because America had no choice in the matter, okay? It had to defend the illusion that the American empire was invincible. Otherwise, this entire edifice would collapse, okay? When will this war end? This war ends when the global economy is destroyed. Because once the global economy is destroyed, this entire edifice collapses, okay? And what will happen after this war? Well, a new world will emerge where there are different spheres of influence, okay? But we'll discuss this later on. But I first introduce to you the big structure of what's going on, okay? All right, so now what I want to do is I want to go more into the structure of this world, okay? This. What I want to show you is that Jeffrey Epstein is one of the operators of this system. He works for the Rothschilds, as well as secret societies, as well as structural capital, and he is embedded in science, crime, and intelligence, okay? And again, the evidence is something called the Epstein files. All right, so let's look at the Epstein files. Okay, so this is Jeffrey Epstein, and this is Donald Trump. All right, Jeffrey Epstein died in 2019 in a federal prison. And he was being charged with many crimes, and the FBI ran an investigation into him. And just recently, the United States, called the Department of Justice, the DOJ, on their website, they released about 3 million documents pertaining to the Epstein investigation. And a lot of these are emails. And what you discover is that he knows everyone who's powerful in the world. So for the longest time, it was believed that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent, okay? And his job was to lure powerful Americans such as Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, to his island called Epstein Island, where he would film them engage in compromising activities. And then he would blackmail them, okay? And that was, for the longest time, what people understood to be Jeffrey Epstein's role. But then when you look at the emails, what you recognize is that, no, actually, that's what he did for fun. Actually, he made most of his money in arms trafficking and in money laundering. Also, Bill Gates wasn't going to Epstein Island to give Jeffrey Epstein money. Jeffrey Epstein, he went to ask for money. Think about this, okay? Bill Gates, at once, before the wealthiest man in the world, he was begging Jeff Epstein for money.
What the heck?
Think about that. All right? Okay, so let us look at who he is.
Crap.
Okay, this is Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, as you know, is one of the wealthiest men in America. And Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein are arranging a time to meet. Again, it is not Jeffrey Epstein is seeking these guys out, they're seeking him out, okay? Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, he's actually trying to arrange an appointment with Jeffrey Epstein. All right, why? Because Jeffrey Epstein says, I represent the Rothschilds. All right, your money is fake. Your money is stock market money. Your money is an illusion. I represent real money, real power, real wealth. Okay? All right, the Rothschilds. All right, so Jeffrey Epstein is very close with the Rothschild family. Why? Well, this is Irena de Rothschild, one of the members of the Rothschild family, okay? And in December 2018, okay, this is a year before he dies, all right? Jeffrey Epstein sends Irena de Rothschild an email saying, hey, let me tell you something really funny. Harvard is saying that when Hitler was poor, he lived in a home, a charity home, that was financed by 3 wealthy families who are Jewish. And who are these 3 wealthy families? They're the Rothschilds, right? Then there are the Epsteins, me, and the Gutmans. So these 3 families, Rothschilds, Epsteins, and Gutmans, go way back centuries. All right? So Epstein is a member of one of the most powerful families in the world. All right? Now, Irena de Rothschild responds and says, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory, right? It's just saying that the Jews created Hitler. And Epstein gets angry at her and says, no, it's 100% true, man. Hitler was selling his clothes and already living in a shelter funded by Jews. Epstein, Rothschild, and Gutman, no conspiracy. It's really true, okay? The Epsteins, who are we? We're the Vienna bankers. All right? We've been around for the longest time. You Rothschilds think you're powerful? Well, we're powerful too. Okay? All right, let's continue. All right, so the FBI is running an investigation on Jeffrey Epstein, and they created a file on him. And there's a confidential human source, a spy basically, who they recruit to tell them who Jeffrey Epstein is and what his network is. And the FBI is sort of blown away by what they discover, okay? So, Amber, could you help me read, please? Okay, all right. All right, so I want you to start at the top, and it's a bit hard to read, okay, but try your best.
Okay. Jeffrey Epstein was represented by
Alan Dershowitz, okay? Alan Dershowitz is a Harvard professor. He's one of the most powerful men in America, okay? Alan Dershowitz. Keep on going.
CHS remembered Dershowitz tell Alex Ocasio, U.S. Attorney of Southern District of Florida at the time, that Epstein belonged to both U.S. and Allied intelligence services.
Okay, so in 2008, Epstein was arrested in Florida for doing inappropriate behavior, okay? And Alan Dershowitz comes in and says, hey, you can't arrest this guy because he works for intelligence. Actually, the truth of the matter is, intelligence works for him, okay? Keep on going.
CHS shared phone calls between Dershowitz and Epstein, during which he/she took notes. After these calls, Mossad would then call Dershowitz to debrief. Epstein was close to the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, and trained as a spy under him. Barak believed Netanyahu was a criminal. Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United Arab Emirates are allied against Qatar, Turkey, Iran, and Syria.
That's not okay. All right. So here it says that Epstein worked for Mossad. That's not true, okay? All right, so you look at Epstein's life. He actually started his career at Dalton. Dalton is one of the most prestigious elite schools in America. That's where all the most powerful, wealthiest families send their children, okay? He was hired as a teacher. Then he went to work for Bear Stearns, which is a financial firm. And there he learned finance. But then he went to work for Doug Leese. Who is Doug Leese? Doug Leese is an arms trafficker involved with Iran-Contra, okay? So he's one of the biggest global arms traffickers in the world. And then he started to work for Barak, who is the prime minister, or the former prime minister of Israel, all right? So you're like, everyone's like, okay, well, it's because he sucks everything, and that's why he was being moved from one place to another, okay? But another way of saying this is he's an operative, and he's being trained in how power works by mentors. Does that make sense? Let's just say I have a big company, right? And I'm a chairman. My son is going to inherit this company. How do I train him to be a good boss? Well, I have him work in different departments of the company, and I have mentors train him in these different departments, right? So what is Dalton? Dalton is education, right? What is Bear Stearns? Finance. What is Doug Lees? He is criminal, arms trafficking. And who is Barad? He is intelligence, right? Does that make sense, guys? He's being trained, mentored in the different sectors of power in the world. All right? Keep on reading.
Masha Drokova telephone number is based in Silicon Valley. She has been running a firm called Day One Ventures, which is supposedly an early stage investment company. She used to be Russian President Vladimir Putin's main contact in the Russian youth movement. CHS and Drokova spoke, but Drokova did not talk at all about technology. Instead, she looked at CHS and said, "You knew Epstein, didn't you?" She said Epstein was a wonderful man.
Okay, so Epstein was connected with Vladimir Putin, okay? All right, let's read the last section. This is the most important, okay?
CHS advised Shabad.
Okay, Shabbat Lubavitch, right? The organization we talked about. Yes, keep on going.
Shabbat is doing everything they can do to co-opt the Trump presidency. Shabbat is basically state-sanctioned Judaism. It is used by Putin to keep tabs on all the Russo-Jewish oligarchs. On the day Trump was elected president, Ivanka Trump and Jared
Kushner.
Jared
It doesn't say
Kushner
Kushner, but keep on going.
were at the gravesite of Rabbi Sneerson.
Okay. So remember last class, I showed you a video of Netanyahu approaching a rabbi called Rabbi Sneerson and saying, "Will you give me your blessing?" And Sneerson says, "Yes, I will. And please hurry up and make the Messiah come." Okay? So it's all interconnected. Okay, Netanyahu, Sneerson, the Trump family, Putin, and it's all connected through Shabbat Lubavitch and Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, keep on going.
Who was the most powerful rabbi in the Shabbat network. Jared didn't disclose his stake in Cadre because of its ties to the Russian state, NFI. CHS believed this is the real Russian collusion story. Kushner had moved a lot of Russian investment money around. The FBI should investigate Kushner's family charities to find evidence of corruption and money laundering. Shabbat routinely uses charities to launder money.
Okay, so this is it, guys, okay? This is it. The FBI did an investigation. What they discovered is that Jeffrey Epstein and Jared Kushner are both part of this transnational network that's able to co-opt different nation states, including Russia, including America. And they're all connected to this other transnational religious organization called the Shabbat Lubavitch. And their leader is Rabbi Sneerson. It's all one big network, all right? And let's look at this. Okay, this is a report, a secret government report. What happened was that when Americans went into Afghanistan, the British went in too. And Prince Andrew, who is the brother to the king, asked the British government to investigate investment opportunities in Afghanistan. Okay, so this is the British government. And so whatever they report has to be confidential. It's basically state secret. And this report tells Prince Andrew where's the best place to invest in Afghanistan. And what does Prince Andrew do? He emails it directly to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? You think these guys work for the government, Prince Andrew. No. They work for Jeffrey Epstein, who works for the Rothschilds. All right? All right. This is Libya. All right. So in February 2011, 2011, okay, this is July 2011, America starts bombing Libya, and it seems as though Gaddafi will fall. And already Jeffrey Epstein and his friends are discussing how to make money out of this, right? Because they know that Libya has many assets frozen in American banks. So once a new government comes into place, then this new government will want the money back, right? And Jeffrey Epstein and his friends are like, let's do this for them and get a commission, right? Can you read?
Understood. Remember, there are already 80 billion in frozen funds/assets internationally, of which $32.4 billion is in the US, and it is estimated that the real number is somewhere between 3 to 4 times this number in sovereign, stolen, and misappropriated assets. So if we can identify/recover 5% to 10% of these monies and receive 10% to 25% as compensation, we are talking about billions of dollars. But the real carrot is if we can become their go-to guys, because they plan to spend at least $100 billion next year to rebuild their country and jumpstart the economy. Also, remember, Libya is a rich country, as its population is 2 million less than the city of New York, and it has the 9th largest crude oil and natural gas reserves on the planet, and a literacy rate of almost 80%.
Okay, do you guys understand what's happening, okay? These are parasites. They look at geopolitics and they're like, how can we take advantage of geopolitical events to make the most money for ourselves? All right? And you're like, okay, well, Jeffrey Epstein is gone. Oh, sorry, okay, all right. So something else I want to discuss with you is Bitcoin, okay? So this is a Guardian article that shows that Jeffrey Epstein was helping to finance the development of Bitcoin, all right? But not only that, I want to show you this picture. This happened in 2004 at Harvard, okay? This is Larry Summers, who is the president of Harvard University. This is Steven Pinker, one of Harvard's most famous scholars. And this guy is Jeffrey Epstein, all right? Who's paying for this dinner? Probably Jeffrey Epstein. And you're like, what is happening here? And again, I keep on telling you guys this. You think academia is about pursuing truth, doing research. No, it's not. It's about protecting and justifying the status quo. It's about providing a network for powerful people to meet together and to work together. Okay? And the Jeffrey Epstein files reveals this, how corrupt academia and science are. It's all part of this huge transnational network, this grand alliance between science, crime, and intelligence in order to extract as much value from the world as possible, okay? These are parasites. And you're like, okay, how about Jared Kushner? Well, Jared Kushner's doing the same thing, guys, okay? This is Jared Kushner, right? Who's this guy? Vladimir Putin. What are they doing? They're discussing peace in Ukraine. Because what Jared Kushner is saying to Putin is, listen, I can negotiate, okay, I'm speculating, okay? I don't know, okay? But I imagine he's a real estate developer, so he's saying to Putin, hey, after this peace treaty happens between Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine will need to be redeveloped. So you should give opportunities to, okay? Okay, so that's Russia. Then you go to Iran. This is Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and the Omani foreign minister. And before the attack against Iran happened, there were these peace negotiations between the Iranians and Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, who represent the Americans. So this guy, Steve Witkoff, during the negotiations, went on TV and said that, oh, the Iranians are trying to they're trying to enrich weapons-grade uranium as soon as possible, okay? So what Steve Witkoff is doing is he's sabotaging the peace negotiations. These guys are negotiating with the Iranians not to create a peace treaty, but to create a justification for war. All right? Oh, and also, this is Jared Kushner. Sorry. Oh, crap. All right. This is Jared Kushner, this is Steve Witkoff, and this is Benjamin Netanyahu. What are they doing? They're discussing peace in Gaza. Why? Because after peace happens in Gaza, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are going to lead a real estate team to develop Gaza into these luxury villas, guys. Okay? So this is how the world works. All right? But again, there's a problem with the system. All right? So, okay, well, this is the way the world works. Now, the question then is, okay, if this is the way the world works, and Jerry Epstein, Jared Kushner, and others are the real power in the world, and they represent the elite, how do we know this? Why is the Epstein files out in the government website, right? Why is it that you can go on the Department of Justice and look at all these things? Well, because there's a problem with this system. And it's this. This system is a parasite, right? So they are extracting value from the nation state. So other elites are asking themselves, why can they be the parasites, but not us, right? So what's happening is a civil war between the elite, these people, and the counter-elite. People who want to take the position and become the parasites. Okay? And that's why we're seeing this conflict right now emerge in America. All right? Any questions, guys? Any questions? All right. So we will discuss this civil conflict, this civil war, next class.
My goodness, bro. I didn't expect that Epstein is so in depth about all this situation, not just on the current geopolitical situation, but goes back um, to the Rothschild family. And it's not part of the Rothschild. It's like one of the group, because if I'm not mistaken, that Epstein family is actually control of the Vienna bank. So let's go through this very quickly. So from I think I think I this video, this lecture is particularly it's not in a one go. Um, I feel like I really want to go in depth into all the Epstein file, um, because it's quite interesting to see even one or two of the email is interesting enough and really hook me into it. But depends. So let's go through the notes that I have taken. So, reality structure. So in the beginning, that he mentioned that the world is hallucination, which is I agree, which is the reality that we have today is actually a collective conscious of hallucination, which mean the reality is based solely on what we believe or what are the elites want us to believe. So our conscious dictates our reality. If we think that having a Lamborghini is climbing up the status quo, then it becomes a reality for you. But if other people believe that uh, able to eat twice a day is rising up the status quo, then that will become a reality for him. So that's the best explanation that I can think of. Attention conscious create wealth. So this is related with social media that we had today, because most of our attention are at social media. So we always look and scroll, doom scrolling. So that's where the attentions were drawn in this 20th century. So that's why the elites, one of them, which is Elon Musk. So maybe one of the reasons why Elon Musk bought Twitter is because they want to control a portion of a global attention, and because attention produce wealth. So attentions are the new medium of wealth, medium of transfer of money. So that is from what I understanding. So if you guys, so from this, if we look in a different position, especially in entrepreneurship, if we want to become rich, there is no way you're going to open a hot dog stall um, uh, at the roadside, for example, because there are limitation in terms of traffic. But if you leverage and utilize social media, definitely you can have limitless attention, because attention produce wealth. attention conscious create wealth. That is from for what I understood. And the previous mechanism before the elites leverage our attention and to create wealth for them, meaning to create having a home is another status. Having a expensive car, having a very expensive handbag is going to climb out the status quo. Previous it was one of the hallucination is the pyramid temples and the story of Homer to create attention, and then the Bible um, post for most of the Christian belief for the crucifixion of Jesus. So then the creation of Bible that also part of the attention to control people, and nowadays is AI. And then it moved forwards that American Empire. So we already covered American Empire, I think, two lecture before in the live stream, that the American Empire is focused on military because it is so obvious. We know that American put a lot of taxpayer money into military development and military technology and whatever, because they want to become the bully of the world. They want to, based on Prof. Jiang explanation, they want to control the world. So it allow a construct of a global financial order, and the US dollar for wealth extraction. So I think this already covers in the previous lecture. So the game name is Global Economy, created by the financial order, which is most of the central bank. And the purpose is to make people play the game as much as possible by using US dollar so that it can bring wealth to America. And the game is not only of American, but there are a few other countries that join the game. So the number one of the hierarchy is the United States, finance. Number two is knowledge, Canada and some of the country. Manufacturing is China and some of the country, and resources is Russia and GCC. So and then America doesn't care. He kick out any other country who dislike the system, and then US creates UN plus WTO in order to control the natural order, which is purpose to control the player that don't want to get into the game. So this was never about the nation, even though it's United Nation, but it's always about protecting the elites. So that is one of the most important key point. Education, media, culture. We become emotional when we watch a movie. We listen, or we become emotional when we listen to the media. I'm sorry, the songs, and we thought that education is going to make us um, if smarter, but actually is is to control the elite status quo. University is to brainwash so that we follow the rule-based natural order created by the elites, and this deception is indoctrinated to the world and create norms because, for example, there's global students are entering, are fighting among them to enter the the high status university, but instead when they have landed in, they actually been brainwashed subconsciously to really accept that the certain organizations such as UN, WTO, and other thing as the reality for the natural order. That's from how I understand. And they really need to spread the system as much as possible. The system means the US dollar, the education, the media, and so on and so forth. Okay, intelligent, infiltrate other nation, elite, and cope with their game. And a crime is also part of the system. Drug, this is more like a parasite, if I'm not mistaken. Drugs, human trafficking, money laundering. Sign not to pursue truth. This is a big one that I've learned from the from the live stream, which is it's not to pursue truth, but to fight evidence against the truth. And one of the thing about sign that were really been marketable really heavily is about the uh, that we came from ape, right? That we came from a monkey, we evolved from a monkey. But to think really critically that if these were true, because everything that we watch from Prof. Jiang lecture, I'm not saying that we have to accept it as the ultimate truth, but it's a point that we can contest the reality that we have today. I'm not saying that we have to blindly trust what Prof was saying, but it's more like a a context so that a point, a bullet point that we should rethink whether is it true or not, the reality that we have today. So what this for me is one of the big one, which is the sign is not to pursue truth but to fight evidence against the truth. And this is powerful. I think this is, yeah, it makes sense when they try to market that we human being coming from the evolution of monkey. And I think that should be dissect or should be investigated, like the ultimate truth of us as a human being, where we came from, because definitely I'm not going to believe that we came or evolved from an ape or a monkey. And then moving forward, this thing spread to open society to create new liberalism, to make people, everyone feel that they have their own right, another way of to control other people. And consumerism definitely is part of the game, because the wealth um, need to keep on what are we saying, moving, right? The wealth need to keep moving, because there are multiple industries that involve between the elites, and that's why consumerism is part of the game. And I think ultimately, because why consumerism, from what I'm understanding, because um, they want the people to keep holding to the game, to the gaming system. Uh, um, so that's why they want to hold on the consumerism, because they want people to keep buying stuff to feel that they have have a higher status, and so on and so forth. And so that when people start to think that I have a higher status because I have a Lamborghini or I have a yacht, and then they will subconsciously protect the elite's game system. Because if a lot of people start to waking up and start to destroy this reality, and these people who thought they have the highest status, for example, the boomers nowadays, they will feel threatened, so they subconsciously need, indirectly need to protect the system that created by the elites. And the elite will work together to allow this to work. And social societies, elite, family, society, elite family. I think this covers in the previous live stream. On a, if I'm not mistaken, America's Game. If I'm not mistaken, the lecture by Prof. Jiang. And transactional capital, a group that make this work. Oh, okay. Social societies, elite family, Rothschild, and transactional capital, which is the central bank. Intelligent crime science that we have mentioned before is to extract values from societies. And okay, and then he goes into the Jeffrey Epstein's and Joffrey or Jerry Kushner, if I'm not mistaken, which is both are Jews. I'm not saying all Jews are bad, but for some reason that these two are Jews. All the hideous system is because the empire want the world to scared of them. Okay, the game master. Okay, to scared of them. Them means the game master. This system is unfair to other countries, which is definitely is going to benefit it to the game master, not to the other country. So the reason why Russia invade Ukraine, as explained by Prof. Jiang, is to renegotiate the system, because for some reason he doesn't mention the detail, but the Russia feel that they are not being rewarded enough from the system. If I don't know, so that's why they try to show their flex their power by invade Ukraine, but because the game master don't want to show weakness, so he refused to surrender Ukraine. So this is another battle of attrition. So the perception of human being, if they notice that US is back down, so they're going to start believing that US is weak. So US attack Iran to prove that US is powerful. This is contestable. I think because this related. I'm not sure. I think these are contestable, but also make sense. And then Iran, because the from what I understood, that the why US attacked Iran, because Israel, because the conflict between Iran and Israel. So Israel is asking for US to back them up. That's also one of the reason, but maybe these are the ultimate reason. I don't know. So Iran retaliate by attack the global economy by blocking the Strait of Hormuz. So it's going to affect the whole world because Iran cannot attack other, like for example, like central bank. They cannot attack the UN or the natural order organization. But what they can attack is the global economy. There will be no true ceasefire and peace from Iran because they have killed the Khomeini, which is Ayatollah, and the boomers most probably protect the illusion of the empire. This is what mentioned earlier, which is the boomers are the one who benefited a lot of the elite boomers from from the system. So indirectly, even though they are not the elites, for example, they are not Rothschild, but because they have benefited a lot from the system indirectly back then, so they subconsciously need to protect the illusion, which is the system. And the war will end once global economic collapse. This is a big one. I'm not sure. This is more like a prediction. And then moving forward, Jeffrey Epstein is actually worked for Rothschild. Jeffrey Epstein filed, he died in the federal prison 2019, charged with many crime. And then FBI is into Epstein, and then DOJ, Department of Justice, released 300 plus doc publicly. And they found out that Epstein is a Mossad agent, draw powerful American to the island, including Bill Gates, if I'm not mistaken, as explained by Prof. Jiang, involved with heinous activities to blackmail. What kind of heinous activities? I maybe um, misheard. I'm not sure. I just put like heinous activities. Most Epstein's money is to weapon and money laundering, if I heard correctly. And Bill Gates backed Epstein for money. I'm not sure whether Prof showed the email, but this is what he mentioned in the video. Pete Thiel arranged appointment to Epstein. I'm not sure who this guy is. Elon Musk seek Epstein. I'm not sure what. I don't see any email, but he did mention that Elon Musk seek Epstein. Maybe if I dig up the Epstein file, maybe there are email on this, because if it doesn't, why would Prof point that out? And Epstein represent Rothschild. Ariana de Rothschild, Epstein is a man of a powerful group because back then, as mentioned by Prof. Jiang, Epstein is actually is actually not from Rothschild, but is from the Vienna bankers. Maybe these need to be elaborate furthermore. So Epstein's career, so the first career he worked as a teacher in Dalton, and then he go to Bernstein Financial, and then he go to Doe Lease at arms trafficking, and then to and then he worked with Borac, which is the intelligence. Borac is not a company; it's actually a intelligence director, if I'm not mistaken. Borac, yeah, I think Israel. I'm not sure. And then Epstein trained in a separate sector of the world. Epstein connected to Putin as well. FBI concluded Epstein and Jared Kushner work a big network to manipulate elite from the global country, including Putin as well. And July 2011, US bomb Libya. Jeffrey Epstein thing on how to make money out of it. This is what he meant by parasite. 80 billion frozen asset from Libya. So they want to uh, have a piece of this. Uh, directly speaking, have taking opportunity on countless thousands of that innocent dead people. Okay, Epstein involved with development of Bitcoin. This is another big one, man. Oh my goodness. Oh man, Epstein need to involve with development of Bitcoin. This is a big one for me because I did invest in Bitcoin, and I really thought that Bitcoin is really going to replace our current fiat currency, but it's actually part of the game system. That's why until today they do not know who really are the creator of Bitcoin. They said it was this Japanese guy. Oh man, I don't know, man. So Harvard, any Harvard or any university is not about spreading knowledge, but to protect the status quo. As mentioned before, Jared Kushner and Putin discussed on peace on Ukraine, because in that peace meeting, definitely, he mentioned, which I not wrote her, that Jared Kushner is a going to become a parasite again to steal wealth from the thousands of innocent people dying on a battlefield or in a war. So, and then the Jerry Christian and Omani, and there was another guy which is I don't really put much attention on his name. But he discussed on the peace of Iran, but in between the American representative suddenly as actually to justify to trigger for war. It's not really about peace. It's actually to push for war. And Jerry and Netanyahu, and together with the American representative, which is the bald guy, I don't really pay attention on his name, is to discuss peace in Gaza. So later they again become a parasite to create development, luxury property, which is part of the elites gaming system. So fundamentally, the game system is a parasite, which is the three things, which is the intelligence, the crimes, and the science. And the war will have become the parasite, elite, and count. And the war now is actually between the parasite elite and the counter elite that want to hold on the existing throne. Yeah. Okay. Well, we got some. Thank you guys for the comment. Not much, but really appreciate it that you guys together learn with me about the truths about the world. Smoke and mirrors, Arctic monkey privilege. If common confers no distinction from documentary rich man trick. Okay, he need to fix his financial problem, so he went to the best fixer in town. Bitcoin is a bait, bro. Yep, yep. Yeah, plan to liquid all the all my Bitcoin. Satoshi, yes, Satoshi. I don't know why his name. Satoshi Nakamura. Counter Strike Elite. I'm not sure about that, man. I haven't played Counter Strike for quite a while. So anyway, just to end this live stream, that again, I don't want us to become to focus on the drama here, which is I summarize as a drama. But the most important thing is the reason why I go through this journey of live streaming, learning about at least not really accept this as the objective truth, but try to give a context to my own reality or and to my surrounding reality, so that we can make a better decision, so that we know where the most wealth are centering at the moment, and then we can become a better person so that we can utilize their gaming system to our own benefit. All right, utilizing their gaming system to our own benefit. At the end of the day, this channel is not about talking about the drama of this geopolitics that happens around us, but it's actually to cover us. So that's why I'm actually this channel I covers a lot about tech, and this live stream is actually quite new, because I need to understand fundamentally so that we can make better decision regardless of making money or to pursue in career. But I'm currently working in tech, so I think tech is one is the biggest pool of money we're putting in at the moment, specifically in AI. And I think we should become aware, not just like bluntly choose our careers, because if we focus on what we passion about, I think that could hurt us in some way, because if your job that you passion about is not making enough money, but then these geopolitics situation that happening around us is going to catch up upon us, and by that time you don't have enough wealth to sustain or to survive, because we are the fishes, we are not the game master, right? So that's why we have to utilize their game on our own benefit. And in that sense, I think that everybody should quickly dive into tech and learn about AI automation, learn about coding, learn about vibe coding, learn about whatever in tech, because this is where the pool of money are. And I did make a tutorial on how to get into tech. So again, this whole video is not about drama, it's about awareness. So thanks Sun started Tosa 8878. All right, probably maybe tomorrow we start another live stream for the next episode. So okay, be safe and see you